So we were talking about Nolinida
Yes.
and how even in the subtle physical, he kept helping and guiding you
Yes.
towards them.
But this one, on my birthday in 1979, when we had brought the flowers to him that I mentioned previously, so he took them, gave them to Anima, and said, "Be sure to give back the platter." And I remember, let me just go back to one experience that was so beautiful. It was the very early days of Orville, maybe 73. I was exhausted. The heat, the electrical cuts were cut. I mean, sometimes in May, we would go to the well, and we had a pool to water the nursery in the day. Soak a sheet, wring it out, and put it over us, and we could get 2 hours sleep. That was it.
Yeah.
You know what May is like, and without a fan or electricity. So I was exhausted, and I came to him, and I said, "Nolinida, I need my batteries recharged." And this is another one of those moments, you see, that are so filled with love and his blessings. He puts both hands on top of my head for about a minute or two, and then he says, "They are recharged." I could have flown out of the room. And there's Anima making a poem, recharged, recharged. But, there was no pain left, there was no tiredness left. Took it all, recharged. So anyway, this day, he motions us to sit down, and he says, "Take any chair." There were only 2.
Yeah.
So we sit down, and I had written him a long letter about the problems in Orville, because he wanted to know.
Yeah.
Even in 61, when I wrote to him, there's a letter I can find from him where he says, "Mother was wondering about the situation in New York, and now you have answered all her questions." Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Then people say, "Well, why didn't Mother know all of that?" Well, then we have Sri Aurobindo saying, "Did she need to know about Lloyd George's breakfast?" Okay, now. I've written him a long letter about the problems in Orville and asked why we had to go through such difficulties. Very quietly and very deeply, he said, "It need not be that way. You see, she is trying 1,000 different ways."
Mm-hmm.
Then it becomes very quiet. He turns to Mary Helen, and pointing to her, he says, "Your body." He points to me. He says, "And your body." And then he points to himself, and he says, "And my body." We think they are different bodies. They are not. She has put a part of herself into each of us, truly. That we can carry with us for the rest of our life. I've never heard anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
She has put a part of herself into each of us. They're not different bodies. They're her body now. Oh, so
There used to be, you as a musician and a singer, I'm sure you must have been sensitive to the quality of not only his voice, there was a kind of an intuitive certitude
absolutely. Yes.
from
yes,
where it rose.
Yes.
There was such a sense of certitude that,
And it had a kind of overarching joy in it.
yes, yeah, a mellowness and a
Yes,
yes,
yes.
yes, and a warmth.
And how old were you when you met him?
Well, I used
First.
to.
You were
I came in '61, and then I used to regularly, go and see him. So I used to just love the man.
Yeah.
He was so. I mean, you could not love a man like him.
Exactly.
I mean, the very incarnation of humility for me,
Yes.
and this
Yes.
tremendous warmth and certitude that he inspired in you.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So where do we go next?
Well, I think we have to go to Mother and Huta's paintings,
Okay.
because I got to know Huta very well, and I had heard all the stories about her, so somehow none of that mattered at all. That was the surface personality.
Yeah.
The soul behind it was very vast and very loving. In fact, I once said that to Temi. I said, mother said her soul is very beautiful.
Yeah.
Temi said, all our souls are very beautiful. Okay, all right. So mother writes to me, Richard, if it is possible for you to keep either 1 day a week or 1 or 2 hours a day to do the work of Savitri, I would be very happy, because I am sure you can make a success of it. See how you can arrange, and let me know for the final arrangement. And that's in Mother's own hands.
Lovely.
Now, in those days it was no digital. You had film and different types of film I had to work with and test rolls. This was in 4th of February 1971 I started this work.
Mm-hmm.
And I wrote to Mother about the following dates are arranged for the work on Savitri. After receipt of the test roll, I will work every Sunday afternoon until the work is completed. And then Mother writes back, it is all right. Love and blessings. So this work took a long time. Huta wrote to me, in fact, and she said, in answer to my letter regarding slides of Savitri, the Mother has sent this blessing packet for you. It was a silver one. Well, let me pick up 1972, when the great south-facing limb of the service tree breaks off. I had this inner relation, I still do, with the service tree. I will always have it. And I came during the break. And again, not to mention any names, but there were some people up there and they were cutting it in the wrong way, and it would have torn down all the bark and killed the tree. Parichand was there. Parichand was very special to me. In fact, I dedicated a book to him on plumerias. And I said, Parichand, it's going to permanently injure the tree. He said, go up and show how to do it. See, when you cut a branch on a tree, let's say this is the branch, right? If you cut down, all that weight is going to tear down the trunk of the tree and rip it open. So a good tree surgeon will always tell you, cut 1/3 from the bottom.
Right.
And then go to the top. And you'll see today that the cut was perfect.
Yeah.
Parajan comes to me. I remember the joy in his smile. And he says, Mother has given you this blessing packet to care for the service tree for the rest of your life. I did it for 37 years. I won't talk any more about it, what happened after that. Except that in the final break, the huge break, after Vishwanath and I had asked him to do a design for supporting structures for the tall trees, which he did. We went to the Monday meeting. We were graciously received, but there was no interest in putting up support. And then, of course, we have the big break. And it was such a break. There were two, actually, one on top and then one on the backside. That was the worst. I suffered a bit because I was no longer allowed to work on the tree. I went to Manoj. I said, Manoj, I said, we cannot hack this with machetes. I said, let me bring a certified tree surgeon who is now in Oroville and has been working with me on the Matrimandia for 3 years. Well, he brought his whole crew, and these boys worked. We worked throughout. I've got photos of the whole thing taken by a lot of ashram photographers. And at the very end, when everything was done, Kumud sent someone with the flowers of divine love and a blessing packet, which I put into the cavity. After that, I think some few years after that, the government recognized the tree as a national heritage, and they've guy-wired it and everything. They're taking care of it now. I want it to live for so many thousands of years, if she can do it, because she supervised the planting of that with Juman and Udar. And Mother was right there. And the tree is so special because it teaches us service.
Oh, I didn't know that. The government had classified it as
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
wonderful.
Okay, and he's there. I'm in a park on a large stretch of lawn near a stone wall, which is on my right and about 3 feet high. Huge marble steps are in front of me, and at the top of the steps is Sri Aurobindo. Oh. The steps are wide, and there are many. I am prostrate and in tears before him. And Sri Aurobindo says to me, one of these things, but I cannot remember which any. We shall do everything for you, or we shall always be with you. Marilyn Widman opens the door for Sri Aurobindo, and the dream ends. But I'll close with this one. 2001, January 18th, 4:54 a.m. I'm trying to reach a destination at a beach town. I stop at a stand and have some bread and a cheese sandwich a man makes for me. Then his wife meets me and we talk. As I am leaving, she tells me her name, Barbara, but I feel it is Rajuta. Because she was in charge of all the Americans, you might remember. Prior to this, I have been with Mother. This is the first time I can recall clearly meeting Mother in many years. She was all tenderness, and she held me, and I felt her love wash over me. I know at that moment I was truly with Mother. Then, while holding me close, she put her hand on my head and uttered what seemed to me a magic incantation in an ancient tongue I had never heard before. When she was finished, she said, quote, "In the next 3 or 4 days, your head will fall off." End quote. Do not be concerned. Just let it happen. End quote. I knew immediately that it was not my physical head and that Mother had made an opening. And I wept again. And I wept the psychic tears as I had wept them when I saw her for the last time in 1972, when she spoke her last words to me. And I guess I'll close with that, and then because we had all been reading in the bulletin those passages, you know what they called?
Notes on the way?
Notes on the way. And we knew that what Mother was doing. I mean, we were following it every quarter. I mean, you know, you had to read that first.
Right.
And so I didn't want to take up Mother's time. So I walk in, and she's, same voice, bon fête, same voice, all those years later, 18 years later. And I go and I kneel before her feet, I put my head on her feet, and she gives me the card. And I get up to leave. I don't want to take her time. Mother says, "Look at your card." So I have to open the envelope in front of her. I take out the card, and there it is, to Richard Narad. And then, of course, I wept for so long. I don't know how long I took at her feet. So anyway, this is back to this, and then
Did she ever tell you the significance why she had given you this name, Narad?
I think it was from Huta. Because Huta had asked me, he said, "Don't you want to have an Indian name?" I said, "Huta, no other name ever had come into my consciousness other than Narad, but I know that I am unworthy of this name." I was very clear. And so she sent a note to Mother, and Mother said, just before my birthday, Mother said, but for that one must wait. And she didn't wait there. I mean, a few days later she gave it to me. Now, in this dream when I'm supposed to lose my head and fall off, I told Mother that I had saved some money for her, but she seemed to pretend that either she had not heard me clearly, I don't recall, but then she said I should use it to take care of Shally, and I felt implied Mary Helen. Now, in Mother's atmosphere, there were no longer any problems. All the difficulties of the nature that I confront here on the physical were dissipated. And although I seemed to sense others around, especially Mary Helen somewhere near, I was alone with Mother in deep and quiet joy. Mother's body seemed to be as we knew her. The feeling of her form had not changed, nor had her sweetness and intimacy, but her body was fluid and could be anywhere instantaneously.